Hey, Jasen Rice here with Lotpop for another Lot Party quick tip. Okay, what's going on in the used car world? A couple things. I think there's big incentives out there now. I know GM put out 0% 84 months, no payments for like 120 days. I seen another person post that Ram's doing the same thing, or maybe Chrysler as a whole. I know Chrysler's putting out incentives. And here's what I know based on the last recession and 9/11. If y'all don't know, back in 9/11, back in 2001 is when in October, after September 11th, in October is when the 0% first hit the industry. Big push. I was selling cars to the internet department. And I remember back then coming in and I would have literally 50 email leads in my mailbox. I would have 10 or 15 voicemails on my phone sitting there waiting for me at 8:30 in the morning, because people, this 0%, no one's ever heard of it at that time. And that's when it really took off. And then later with the recession, the whole cash for clunkers hits. But what I'm telling you about this is, with any of this, seeing headlines, the government's, wanting to pass out checks and stuff. But if any push is going to happen, either by the manufacturers or the government, it's going to be wrapped around new cars, obviously. It's going to be wrapped around new cars to keep the factories pushing and rolling. And but I did see a headline that Volkswagen's shutting their factory, I think in England. But so other than factory shutdowns, but even at that, there's plenty of cars out there on dealers' lots and transport and sitting in other locations. So there's going to be a big push for new cars, which leads to trade-in. So unlike cash for clunkers, where dealers are getting some nice freaking cars and they couldn't sell them. I mean, yeah, they got some beaters in there, but there are some decent cars hitting some dealers' lots that could have been awesome used cars. So that really kind of hurt the used car market. But this actually, and think about it, if dealers are able to get a bunch of new car activity, with their new incentives going on to keep the economy rolling, keep the dealerships rolling, these trades are going to hit the market. Then Ted Heater here locally in Kansas City market was stating, and a couple of people commented on there, Enterprise here locally was slashing like 1,300 cars. They're going to dump those into the retail market. A couple people commented about that. So think about that. If the travel ban and all this traveling gets cut back, a lot of these rental car companies are going to be stuck with these cars. Those might get flooded to the market. So now on the opposite end, you go to used car group, Real Success in the Car Business on Facebook. Robert Hollingshead, who's one of the largest wholesalers out there, so if anybody knows anything about it, be him. He says, quote, by looking at things, used cars at simulcast only auctions are like toilet paper flying off the shelf / lane. Lanes that normally convert very low are ripping. Wow, the wholesale world didn't get murdered. It got shot in the arm. Maybe, just maybe, it's true. The used car dealer really is the backbone of the industry and the economy. But with that, I see a couple dealers, a couple people commenting that one, the guy says GM lane, Statesville, just half the runs or more. Another guy commented Manheim, Ohio, Mercedes sales had tons of no sales. Obviously, we could probably see that. Highline cars, high-end cars are going to be a little bit riskier right now. So if that shot in the arm that he's talking about, Robert said, that could be dealers doing what customers did with toilet paper, right? Could be not that they had the business. They just figured they're going to go out there and maybe grab some of this inventory so they can hold on it and stockpile it. So when the market comes back, they own it all. Who knows? I know some dealers are having some good months. I'm not, doom and gloom here. Some people have some downtime right now in some markets, restaurant people. So I don't know if, obviously restaurant people are going out buying cars, but if people have downtime, they're able to work from home and stuff, they might go ahead and buy cars. Heaven forbid, some people aren't very smart with their money, but some people say, hey, you know what, might as well go buy that car now before our credit goes to craps and we can't buy it in the next year when we really need it. So those people might be out buying cars right now before they, as we know, people sometimes aren't best with their money, but those can be some of the decisions driving some of this traffic too. Buying things before they got to hunker down. So I say all this is because this market is going to move faster than it ever has in the last 10 years. This market is going to move to unparalleled and we don't know what's going to happen. But I can say, obviously, there's going to be some effect with if there any kind of recession or anything like that comes down the pipe. And I just talked to a Canadian dealer who, luckily, over the last month or two, he's been working really hard to clean up his aged inventory. He's sitting really pretty, meaning 84% of his inventory is fresh, no age, going into this situation. And he wasn't sure should he could, he's a small guy. And the thing about this is how progressive this guy. He's only 25, 30 cars on his lot, but he was wondering, should he just hunker down, stay around that 25, keep it thin and lean, and just keep making sure it's moving, or should he, try to stock up a little bit? And I told him, the best thing to do in any situation, in my eyes, is always to stay lean and clean. If he happens to miss some kind of big bubble where a month or two people are out just scrambling and buying, and he can't keep up with it, his best bet is always going to be to stay lean and clean. Maybe he misses a little bubble. But I would also say with that, I told him, hopefully, April's the end of it, May, June, July, that summer selling comes back, people bust out of the gate and start buying some cars. And if they do, you've got good processes in place during this uneven time because you've been focused on that. So start buying a little bit at that point in time, but slim back going in the fall, because we might have round 2 going in the fall. Hopefully this virus goes away with warm weather, like a lot of flus do. Economy starts coming back. People are getting, believe me, with the winter, people already had cabin fever. Now they're telling everybody to stay still. They ain't going to be locked up too much longer, before they start really want to just branch out and spread the rings and start getting back out there doing normal things. So hopefully, get through this over the next 2 to 4 weeks. Market blows back up. You stay lean and clean through it. If you miss a big opportunity, that's fine to start chipping away, because again, if you're disciplined enough, we might have round 2 of this coming to fall and winter when flu season hits again. And if we don't have vaccines, everybody's going to be scrambling. So all those dealers that were trying to take advantage of this boom market and buying cars and spending stupid money for it in the summertime, again, this is hypothetical, but they might be stuck with these cars November, December as we go into round 2. And, they got high dollar cars that aren't worth as much anymore. So lean and clean is going to be the best bet. There's mixed messages on what's going on with wholesale, mixed messages kind of what's going on with lots. I think those mixed messages isn't so much the market virus and stuff as much as how dealers handled their sales and their marketing and their processes. We'll all know that soon if everybody gets shut down. The other thing is you still have inventory to manage. This isn't a vacation. If some dealers have to close up shop a little bit, government mandated, these cars are going to sit there. You're going to have to figure out a game plan. If you're somewhat closed, a lot of meaning some markets, they're closing retail establishments, but they're allowing maybe dealers to stay open for service and maybe allow you to still sell or deliver a car if customers need transportation. If that's the case, you still can get in their photo, get in their descriptions. Customers are going to be online shopping more than ever right now. Make sure your cars are standing tall. But even if your store halfway shuts down or, we half staff in it or something, that inventory is sitting out there and it's going to depreciate day after day. But still, week after week, come up with game plans, figuring out what you're doing with them. You can maybe still run them to a lane and simulcast them. You can put them on OVE. You can get the photos and descriptions done. You can take it to a customer for test drives. You can offer probably close and sell deals to customers at their convenience of their home. So get that fine-tuned, stay lean and clean. But this wholesale market can get tricky with the new car incentives getting big. We're going to get an influx of trades if that drives a lot of traffic. So dealers don't have to go to the auction and buy. Enterprise or rental car companies start shoving in, cutting their fleets in half because of lack of travel, and they're dumping cars in the market. Man, be lean and clean. Give me a call or email if you need anything. Lotpop.com, 844-LOTPOP4, J-Rice at Lotpop. All these go up on YouTube and SoundCloud for iPad or iTunes. So MP3, if you're listening to, not MP3, if you're listening podcasts or anything, they go up on there too. Hope this has been helpful. Thanks.